At the Lake Symposium, the Honourable Beau Franks, who's Mayor of Växjö, now the greenest city in Europe, their approach to it was a zero tolerance to pollution. Would you say the Regional Council has a zero tolerance to pollution?
No, I don't think so. Not a zero tolerance to pollution. I think that, and nor do I think that that city does either. But it's a nice slogan. And there's nothing wrong with nice slogans and visions and goals like that. They're very, very useful.
Are you saying it's idealistic?
Yes. And but for me, in New Zealand, we're grappling at the moment with the trade-offs, and that is that you look at what our whole economy, our whole society is based on. It's based on fairly intensive use of land. You cannot do intensive use of land without having some impacts. You can take parts of a city or all of a city and manage its impact, in actual fact, a great deal easier than you can a broad-scale impact like farming. So it's easier to say we're going to be a zero-tolerant, if you like, city than it is to say we're going to be a zero-tolerant collection of 700 farms.
But don't you think that hard regulations is a good place to start as far as bringing about a cleaner environment?
No, I don't. I think, first of all, you identify the problem and discuss with the people who care about the problem and who are causing the problem. If you can come up with a solution that doesn't require hard regulation, then I think first and foremost you go for that. To my mind, regulation is an imposition on society. There are transactional costs associated with regulation that are high, and a regulation is never quite the skillful sort of knife to operate on a problem that you think it is. It's often quite a cumbersome sledgehammer, and things get caught up in regulation that you don't mean to, and regulation can have impacts that you didn't intend to. So if you can solve a problem in a voluntary way, then great. And I'd point out to the remarkable success of Loko Kara just outside Rotorua, whereby voluntary means those farmers around that lake look as if they've cracked that water quality issue.
Do we have that kind of time to be able to have voluntary...
Sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. And I'd share your view and say that in air quality, particularly with Rotorua's problem, when we know that the air quality in Rotorua is leading to the premature deaths of something between 20 and 30 people a year, you haven't got time. That's people. That's people's lives being impacted, affected. So in which case you've got to move pretty quickly to regulation. And indeed, we were really lucky in terms of cooperation between ourselves and Rotorua District Council that we in this town managed to achieve bylaws and regulations in 7 months that Christchurch City took 7 years to do.
If it does get to a point of crisis, then you would initiate a regulation.
Yes, yeah. And beyond, you've got to do it before crisis. And I guess even when you're talking to somebody about a voluntary approach, our type of organisation has always got Plan B. And Plan B is always we're thinking about the regulation that might have to come if people don't change fast enough.
I know this is not a question you want to get into, but in the case of the Puringa stream, I wasn't going to get into that.
You can.
Is it at the point now that something needs to be done about that stream?
No, I think the Puringa stream's actually has had things being done to it for probably the last 20 years. And every town in New Zealand's got a Puringa stream. And it's one of those streams where activities occurred in the past, where it was on the outskirts of town, if you follow me. And so there's the historical legacy again. So you look at the Waipa sawmill, which we all know was using timber treatment chemicals, which society thought was acceptable at that time.
But it's also about the activities they're doing at the moment. It's spraying of effluent up into the forest, which is saturated.
Yes, and when you look at that, you have to say that Rotorua District Council has probably led greater change in how it addresses its wastewater treatment plant than I would think any city in New Zealand. And they have shifted to spraying effluent into the trees because they wanted to protect the lakes, and they're still doing everything they can to make that system work. True, when you try new techniques you sometimes get some problems and you sometimes have some difficulties, but we monitor both the Puringa stream, we monitor the wastewater treatment plant, we monitor the Waipa sawmill, and right now there's a particular issue come up in the Puringa where these kids the penny divers appear to have rashes. So that's a trigger, if you like, on top of everything else we're doing in the Puringa that says, whoa, that shouldn't happen, kids shouldn't get rashes. So right now we've got an investigation going into exactly what's occurring in that stream.
They're saying E. coli levels are really high. Do you think they should stop it?
They're not. So I'd suggest to you that you need to take a look at it, even the collection of the information from Wally Lee and his team, and those samples that have been taken, the samples have been taken by Maori Television. They're not actually dramatically high. They're of concern, but they're not super high.
Is it acceptable?
Yes, you'll find it's within swimming standards, which is interesting. But that's not to say there isn't an issue. Can I also note that I doubt very much that E. coli are causing kids rashes. And so it's a matter, and that's what I guess I'll end on, is that my organisation represents a superb collection of scientists, of investigating officers who work for the people of the Bay. And right now what I'm really pleased about is they're going in to sort out that issue, and they will do. They'll find out what it is. But it can never be just as simple as my kid's got a rash, it must be that.
Bill Bayfield, thank you for your time.
Thank you.